Hello, friends. Good day. The Master and Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov. So, this is a novel, a Russian novel, masterpiece of, it is called and it is declared as the masterpiece of 20th century, Master and Margarita. So, let me tell you about the Master and Margarita is set in the Soviet Union during Joseph Stalin's regime. The book is a complex blend of satire, magical realism, and historical commentary, combining two narratives in an inventive and subversive way. So, the novel primarily unfolds through two interconnected plot lines. The first narrative is set in Moscow during the 1930s, when the city was under the atheist Soviet regime. It begins when the devil, disguised as a professor named Voland, arrives in the city with his retinue, which includes a talking black cat named Behemoth, a hitman, a vampire, and a clown. Voland and his group create chaos, exposing the greed, hypocrisy, and cowardice of the Soviet elite. Their antics culminate in a grand magical show where they offer the audience material wealth, which then disappears, leaving the audience in disarray and scandal. Among the Moscovites, there are two particularly significant characters: a frustrated and unpublished author referred to as the Master, and his devoted lover Margarita. The Master, who was written a novel about Pontius Pilate, which forms the second narrative, has been driven to despair and insanity by the harsh criticism and censorship. Margarita, meanwhile, remains passionately loyal to the Master, and she is willing to go to a great length to help him. The second narrative is a historical drama set in Jerusalem during the time of Jesus Christ, who is referred to as Yahshua HaNotzri. This narrative is essentially a retelling of the Gospels from the perspective of Pontius Pilate, the Roman procurator who presided over the trial of Yahshua. Unlike the biblical account, Pilate is portrayed as a sympathetic figure who is troubled by his role in Yahshua's execution. The two narratives intersect when Margarita, desperate to save the Master, makes a pact with Voland. She becomes a witch and hosts a lavish ball for the devils and his guests. As a reward for her service, Voland grants her a wish. Margarita uses it to free the Master from his despair. Voland, who turns out to be somewhat fair arbiter of cosmic justice, also arranged for the Master and Margarita to spend eternity together in a peaceful, shadowy realm, a sort of purgatory where they can find solace for their earthly suffering. In the end, Pilate is also granted peace, and after being condemned to eternal wakefulness for his role in Yahshua's death, he is released by Voland and allowed to join Yahshua in the afterlife, finally finding rest. So the themes and the significance of this novel is Master and Margarita is a critique of Soviet society, particularly the literary establishment and the government's suppression of free thought and the artistic expression. At the same time, it explores themes of love, sacrifice, and the nature of good and evil. The novel is notable for its rich symbolism and its blending of fantastical element with historical and contemporary reality. Despite being banned during Bulgakov's lifetime, it has since become a classic of Russian literature and is considered one of the greatest novels of the 20th century. So, this is the novel written by Mikhail Bulgakov, Master and Margarita. So, let me tell you about Mikhail Bulgakov. He was a Russian writer and a playwright known for his satirical works that critique Soviet society. He was born on May 15, 1891 in Kiev, which is now the capital of Ukraine, but was part of the Russian Empire at that time. Early life, Bulgakov was the first of 6 children. His father was an assistant professor at the Kiev Theological Academy, and his mother was a former teacher. Bulgakov was exposed to a variety of cultural and artistic influence from a young age, including theater, which would later play a significant role in his life. He studied medicine at Kiev University, graduating in 1916. During World War I and the subsequent Russian Civil War, he worked as a doctor, an experience that provided material for his early short stories. So Bulgakov, gave up medicine in 1920 to pursue a writing career, and he moved to Moscow in 1921, where he worked as a journalist, wrote short stories, plays. His early works, including the novel White Guard and the play Days of the Turbines. So, Bulgakov's works were popular with audience. They faced criticism and censorship from Soviet authorities due to their perceived counter-revolutionary sentiment. Master and Margarita is Bulgakov's most famous work and is considered a masterpiece of 20th century literature. It was written in secrecy over a period of 12 years, and Bulgakov continued to revise it until his death. The novel is not published until 1966, 1967, more than 25 years after Bulgakov's death, and it was initially released in heavily censored form. So uncensored version was not published until 1973. So despite his struggle with censorship, Bulgakov was able to maintain a writing career in part due to support of Joseph Stalin. Bulgakov had written a letter to Soviet government in 1930 asking to be allowed to immigrate if he could not work as writer in Soviet Union. Stalin personally rejected Bulgakov's request to leave the country and instead arranged for him to work at the Moscow Art Theatre. So Bulgakov's health deteriorated in late 1930s, possibly due to hereditary kidney disorder. He died in Moscow on 10th of March 1940. So, Master and Margarita is widely regarded as a classic of 20th century literature, but like any work of art, it has been subject to criticism. So, the critic has been raised certain. It is complexity and different narrative structure. The novel's narrative structure, which alternate between two different storyline and time period, can be challenging for some reader to follow. Moreover, the book blend of satire, fantasy, historical commentary, so allegorical in nature. The book uses of allegory and symbolism is one of its most celebrated aspects. A depiction of women. Some critics have raised concern about the depiction of women in the novel. Margarita, the primary female character, is deeply devoted to the master and is willing to go to great length, including selling her soul to the devil to be with him. While this is a depiction of a profound love, suppression, and censorship. Given that Bulgakov was written under a repressive regime, it's believed that he may have some self censored or altered aspect of the novel. Depiction of the devil, the portrayal of the devil Wuland as a somewhat sympathetic character has been controversial. Despite these critics, it's important to note that Master and Margarita is generally highly regarded for its boldness, creativity, and social commentary. It also worth remembering that art is subjective and responsive to any given work can vary widely. So, Master and Margarita is a rich and complex novel that offers numerous points for discussion: satire of savage society, role of the supernatural, the novel within a novel, the theme of cowardice and bravery, redemption for and forgiveness, depiction of art and artists, good and evil, role of woman, influence of Bible and fast, censorship and self-censorship. These are just few of many possible discussion. So Margaret and Margarita, Master and Margarita, Mikhail Bulgakov novel is no doubt as a masterpiece in literature, in also in Russian literature. A very deep and satirical novel. I hope you will enjoy it. Thank you very much.